There has been a mixed reaction to a major decision to increase the number of nighttime flights at Dublin Airport and the operating time of its runways. The decision has been criticised by residents as reckless, while Ryanair says it introduces another cap on activity at the airport.
Nighttime flights are a controversial issue. They're critical for airlines and particularly transatlantic aviation. However, they are disruptive to residents near airports. Today, the Planning Board on Comisiún Pleanála increased the hours for regular flights at Dublin Airport. The previous restriction from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is replaced with a new limit from midnight to 6 a.m. and the number of nighttime flights increases from 65 to 95, but that's limited to planes with lower levels of noise pollution. Residents such as Niamh Marr are disappointed.
It's pretty devastating to see that the overall number of night flights that can occur at night has drastically increased since the draft decision in September. As we know, night flights or aircraft noise from night flights is extremely detrimental to people's health, and our communities are already suffering from the amount of nighttime noise that is occurring.
Ryanair says the decision introduces a new cap at Dublin Airport which will limit airlines within a year.
If you choose to live near an airport, the inconvenience of that is it's lit up for most of the night. There's noise, there's a lot of traffic that moves around. If you don't like it, then you shouldn't buy a house there.
The DAA, which operates the airport, says the decision puts a restriction on the number of aircraft movements.
People don't need to be worried. This will essentially keep things the way they are today with a little bit of growth. I know the airlines would want more, but there's not going to be a huge increase in nighttime flights because of this decision. We get 2 extra hours to operate the North Runway. That's a good operational win for us.
Now attention will turn to an overall limit on the number of passengers going through the airport and what the government is willing to do about it.
I don't want to rush into a decision on this. Whatever we do has got to obviously be legal, has got to be robust, and has got to be future-looking insofar as the future growth of what is a critically important piece of state infrastructure.
But airlines and the DAA will want action a lot faster than that.
And David joins us now from Dublin Airport. David, sounds from your report as if there's not too many people happy with this decision.
Yeah, I think it's probably a mixed bag for everyone. From the point of view of the residents, there are still restrictions on nighttime flights. They can also apply for a sound insulation grant for their homes, but they're obviously unhappy about the extended operating hours of the airport and the increase in nighttime flights. From the point of view of the airlines, I think it's quite limiting for them, particularly transatlantic aviation. There are significant limits there. They won't be happy really with any type of cap. However, they'll also have to use planes which have lower levels of sound pollution. I think the other thing is what's going to happen overall with the airport now. This was a big decision which was awaited for. Dublin Airport is facing a cap on the number of passengers of 32 million. It had 33 million going through the airport last year. It wants to see that increased to 40 million. It wants the government to take action. We're just going to have to see whether or not the government is prepared to take that step.
OK, David Murphy at Dublin Airport, thank you. Returning now to that decision on night flights at Dublin Airport, we are joined by Kenny Jacobs, CEO of airport operator DAA. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us, Kenny Jacobs. I'm a little bit confused because you're welcoming this decision, but at the same time, as we saw in the report with David Murphy earlier, you're saying it's not going to lead to any increase in flights.
Yeah, we welcome it because, look, it's 6 years in the making. That's a long time to wait. So the decision brings some clarity and it allows us to move forward other important things like the 40 million infrastructure application that's with Fingal now. So we're looking forward to working with them on that. It doesn't change a lot from the current levels of nighttime flights. It kind of is maintaining the existing levels with a little bit more. So I don't think people need to be worried. It won't lead to a big increase in nighttime flights and it won't lead to a big increase in noise.
But it does extend the operating hours for the second runway, I think, an extra 2 hours up to midnight and from 6 a.m.
It does. That's not that big a deal.
Well, it might be a big deal for residents who feel they're getting too much noise.
We won't use it that much in those hours, and it's just 2 hours. Look, essentially the decision maintains the number of movements at the current levels. at least we have that clarity. The airlines would like a lot more. We would have preferred a noise quota rather than a cap on the number of movements. You know, we don't like the passenger cap at Dublin Airport. This is now putting in place a movement cap for aircraft as well as a passenger cap, and we don't think the movement cap was necessary. But essentially, noise for residents, and we do take it very seriously, and we do want to do a lot more for residents, isn't going to dramatically increase.
OK. Do you accept that there is an impact on residents? Because we saw Ryanair, your former colleagues in Ryanair, in David Murphy's report, basically saying people who choose to live near the airport can just lump it. Is that DAA's attitude?
No, it's not. Look, noise is serious, and it exists at airports. I think Ireland is in a good place because we've got very good aviation regulation, which is done by ANCA, and we take it very seriously. So, look, we've insulated over 200 homes so far. We've announced at the start of this year that we want to insulate 400 more homes and maybe even more. We're buying out homes, we're constantly monitoring noise, and we do take it very seriously. Most of our staff live in the local area and they're very good at giving us feedback. But noise we take seriously, there is an impact, and we will continue to work with the local community. Complaints
about noise doubled last year.
They doubled, and it's a high number, but I think it's important to point out that 10 people are creating 80% of the noise complaints. So there's some serious complainers who never want an airport at Dublin Airport, even though there's been one there for 85 years.
Well, maybe it shows the impact on them of the noise that they're experiencing.
People who complain about noise and people who actually have noise can sometimes be different things. Very important to point out that if you compare 2024 to 2019, 38% of fewer households are actually impacted by noise because we have the 2 runways now. So noise we take seriously. It's going in the right direction, which is down for the local community, but we'll do everything we can to keep that going.
OK, and there's also a restriction on the type of aircraft that can use the runways at certain times. What's that about?
So that's really encouraging the new type of aircraft. So you take the Boeing MAX and the Airbus Neo aircraft. I mean, they produce up to 50% less noise, which is a really good thing. And it's encouraging us and the airlines to use those aircraft for nighttime flights. That's a good thing, and we welcome that. This summer, over 50% of the aircraft at Dublin Airport are on those new type of technology aircraft. So that's 50% less noise, but 33% less emissions. That's what we want.
OK, and finally, and very briefly if you could, the next stage is the infrastructure proposal. When do you think that's going to get the green light?
We want to get going on it now. As I said, it's been with Fingal for a year and a half. We need to build. That's our problem at Dublin Airport. So the quicker we can get working with Fingal on that, the better.
OK, Kenny Jacobs, CEO of DAA. Thanks for joining us on 6-1.